Hello, hi there. You're welcome again to yet another edition of Organit Media, Organit Academy. And in the last tutorial, we dealt on the internet and speaking specifically about networking. We use rather networking to explain what the internet is all about. But today, we are going to look at a particular type of network, and I hope that from this explanation you can be able to have a little bit of understanding of networking. Now remember, I made mention of about four types of network. I made mention of the personal area network. We have the personal area network, we have local area network, and there is also metropolitan area network, and of course wide area network. But today we're going to be focusing on local area network. Okay, and the short acronym for it is LAN, as you can see on the board. All right, local area network. Now, we are going to be looking at four major elements of the local area network. Okay, in the last tutorial, I spoke about what the local area network is all about. But today, we are going to be focusing on four major elements. And with these four major elements of the local area network, you can be able to understand how networking works, how with networking the computer, or different computing devices can be able to share information, work together, and communicate with each other. So, first, we talk about the server. All right, you look very closely below me, you will see the diagram of the server. Okay, now that is, a simple illustration of what the server is. All right, so the server is like the host. That is another name for calling the server in a particular network is the host computer. Okay, you can put it in that word. Okay, the server is the host computer in a local area network or even in a network generally. Okay, so you have the server, which is the host computer. Okay, now when I say host computer, I do not mean your conventional or normal computer. As I've said, host computer, some of you, your mind will be going to personal computers like your laptop, like your normal computing system. But as you can see from this diagram, it's not like your normal personal computer. Okay? In fact, the server is like a complex computer. Okay? And in a network, or even in a local area network, you can have more than one server. Okay, so you can have more than one server in your your local area network. Now, the server, what does the server provide in a local area network? Now, one of the things that the server provides in a local area network is file storage and sharing. All right, file storage and sharing. This is one of the things that the server provides, in a local area network or even in a network generally. All right, so let's look at this file storage and sharing. All right, remember I said one of the major purpose of networking is to what? To share information. Okay, so the server is like the central system. You can put it that way. The server is like the central system where information is what is shared. The server also provides the storage for all the other systems that are connected to this network. Okay, so the server, we have a particular files, or we have different files stored in it, and different other systems can be able to see these files that have been stored in the server. okay, from different multiple computing devices that are connected to the network. So any computer that is connected to the network can be able to see the files that has been stored in the what? In the server. Okay? So remember, the server provides a file storage and also can provide the files which will be shared in the entire network. That is, different computers that are connected to the network can be able to access the files that has been stored in the what? In the server. Another thing that the server provides is application hosting. Now, what do we mean by application hosting? Application hosting is there are different kinds of softwares that are in the computer. Okay, so with application hosting, you can have a particular system that is running a software in the server and is at the same time being run in another software in another, that is in another computer. The same software running in one particular computer is running in another computer which is in the same network. Okay, so you can see that the different computers that are connected to the network, they can actually access the same software. So the same software running in this computer, running in that computer, running on another computer, all of them connected to a single server. Okay, so we have application hosting. Application hosting. Another thing that the server provides is what? User account management. User account management. Now, what do we mean by user account management? Now, most of you or most of us, some of us, I will not say most of us because this Gen Z generation are not really used to cyber cafes. But back in the days, during the early stages of the internet, where we actually used cyber cafes primarily to access the internet. I'm talking about the late 90s, early 2000s, in Nigeria, for instance, in the late 90s and 2000, you discover that there is a whole lot of cyber cafes, across the country at that particular time. If you wanted to do anything on the internet, you have to go to the cyber cafe. Okay, you will discover something in the cyber cafe. Back then, when I used to use the cyber cafe, when I go to the cyber cafe, what they normally do at that particular time is that they are going to time you, and you are going to pay for the time that you use to access the internet. Okay, so for instance, I go into the particular cyber cafe, I log into the system. Okay, they will give me a particular pin that I will use to log in into a particular system. And after I'm done logging into that system, there is a timer that will time me. Let's say, for instance, I get 2 hours. The timer will time me. After 2 hours, it's going to log me out of that computer. I can no longer use it again, except and I go again to request for more time. Okay? It is the server that actually what provides this ability for user account management. Okay, so any computer that is connected to the server, it provides a kind of service whereby you cannot be able to use the computer except you log into the computer. So the server provides that kind of service in a particular network, or the server makes it possible that you can log in. So you discover that the cyber cafes, we should see at that particular time, they were actually, using local area networking, okay, to network all those systems that are working back then. All right, that is user account management. Another service that the server provides is print service. Print service. print service. What does it mean by print service? Print service is simply saying you have different computers trying to send, document to a single printer. The server makes it possible that different computers can actually connect to a single printer, and then you can be able to print documents. So I can send a particular document in this particular computer to a particular printer. Another computer can also send document to the same printer, and the printer will print it out. Okay, it is made possible because of the server. So the server provides the service of print, not just the ability to share files now, but the ability to also share printers. The same printer with different computers. So different computers can connect or communicate with just one printer, and then it can be able to print the documents that is sent from different printers in different locations in the network. So that is also another service that the server provides. And then we also have database service. Database service is mostly associated with when you are talking about the internet now. Okay, there are some applications that have database. Okay, so we are not going to go deeply into database services because this is mostly associated with the internet. Okay, I talked about the internet in my other lecture, so you can go on YouTube and watch that lecture on the internet. All right, so for the purpose of this local area network, the database services, okay, is they are selling applications that has some kind of data. Okay, let's say an e-commerce site, for instance. You can see the different commodities that are on display on the internet site. All these things, they are all what? Data. But those data, they are stored in a database in the server. Okay, so if there is no server, then you cannot be able to access those data. Okay, so those data that you are actually accessing or getting from that particular e-commerce website or shopping website is actually stored in the what? In the server. So the server provides database service. Another thing that the server provides is internet access and control. Internet access and control. So with the server, you can be able to what? To access the internet. Okay, so like I said, we are dwelling on local area network, so we're not going deeply into internet. Another thing that the server does is backup recovery. The server also does backup recovery, and the server also does web hosting. Okay, that is also connected with the internet. The server also does web hosting. All right, so those websites or those web pages that you sometimes display on your browser in your computer, they are hosted in the server. Okay, without a server, you cannot be able to have something that will host those pages that you are accessing through your browser. Okay, all right, so that is for the server. Remember, we are talking about 4 major elements of the local area network, and I just made mention of the server. You look down again in this video, you see the diagram of the server. All right, another major element of the local area network is your network interface unit. The network interface unit is what connects the server and the workstation. Okay, so very soon we will soon get to the workstation. Okay, so watch out for the next video where we'll talk deeply on the network interface unit. See you again. Bye.